Welcome to Parts Perspective, the podcast for people who live and breathe automotive performance.
Welcome to Parts Perspective Podcast. My name is Shane, and I am your host. This is episode 3, and today what I want to talk about is the pricing trap. What customers say versus what they actually pay for or want to pay for. So this is something that's a little bit for the automotive store owner, retailer, jobber, etc., but maybe also for the consumer, as they might see some alternate perspectives on the way of the world. So there is essentially 3 avenues of parts procurement for a consumer. So there's storefront, there is e-commerce, and there is Amazon or marketplaces, which could be eBay as well. So the real question is, why is there a $130 part that is $89 online and $149 in a store? Right? Like 3 different prices in 3 different places. And like, what does that mean for your business? So oftentimes, at least based on what I see in my businesses, customers can think that the same product should be priced the same everywhere. You know, if you charge more for a product in your store, sometimes they whip their phone out and they go, oh, look, it's cheaper on Amazon. Not understanding that had you not just explained to them why that's the product they need, they would not have been able to find it on Amazon, but that's a whole other topic. So in moments like that, you can lose a lot of goodwill if you're unable to articulate why your price is different than Amazon. Or some people take the easy way out and just say, you know what, I'll match that price without explaining the additional value. Okay, so the 3 channels real quick. So brick and mortar, you got local inventory, you got staff, you have, real people, real time, overhead, buildings, expertise. That one may not always be true. Obviously, that's staff dependent on how people are trained and so on and so forth. But there is more to a brick and mortar operation than there is to an e-commerce operation, and especially a marketplace seller. So then you have e-commerce, which is scaled logistics, compressed margins, shipping and returns are often kind of sort of baked in. Service levels there, expertise is there, but like it's down a level. We all know that. If you walk into a brick and mortar store, you are going to speak with someone as close to immediately as possible. Maybe they have another customer, maybe they're on the phone, but like you're there. Okay. Online, e-commerce, you can email, chat, phone, text, whatever that may be. And it just depends on the business when you're going to get that person's attention. Sometimes it's immediate, sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 24 hours. Depends on the channel, right? There's variables here. And then there's marketplaces like eBay and Amazon. It's a race to the bottom. Pricing is the only competitive variable. There is low or no support whatsoever, including from Amazon these days. I don't think I'm speaking out of turn when I say that Amazon itself even isn't what it used to be. There's a higher risk of errors. There's no infrastructure really for parts. They tried, but it's not very good. Maximum convenience though, right? Like sometimes products are going to be available with Prime delivery. That means they show up off the Amazon van. And if not, you know what, whatever. You have your account there, it remembers your address, and maybe you have a gift card or it remembers your payment info. It's easy. Okay. But These are not the same experience, even if you are getting the same SKU. Okay. So, what customers are generally saying is they don't want friction, right? I don't want to be ripped off, but I will pay for speed and trust sometimes. Okay. I want options, but I'm going to take the cheapest one unless you give me a reason not to. So, what can you as a business owner do or not do? First of all, you will behoove yourself if you exist to some degree in all three areas so that you can know, understand them, and capitalize on every customer. That's my opinion. Whether you choose to or not is a whole other story. Okay. Now, as a general rule of thumb, being in all three to a certain degree, you cannot price match Amazon in your brick and mortar and still hold inventory, answer phones, give install advice, offer free returns. Like, you can't give brick and mortar service to someone who wants an Amazon price. There are outliers to that, especially if manufacturers have minimum advertised pricing policies where you can, you're selling a product at a higher margin because the manufacturer makes Amazon sellers hold that same price. That is the one exception to that rule where, okay, you can match an Amazon price because the margin's there. But generally, Amazon margins are like, 10%, sub 10%, 5%. You can't match that price and offer the customer the same service. I mean, you can try, but I don't recommend it. What you can do is you can anchor your value as a brick and mortar business or as an e-commerce business over Amazon with better service, bundling, support, returns, warranties, so on and so forth. Some of these things cross over to Amazon, some of them do not at all. You need to be able to articulate to the customer without getting pissy about it why your price is more than the other guys, wherever they may exist. You can't be everything to everyone. So pick the lane you're built for and stay in it. Now, the exception to that rule is if you are existing in the different channels. However, with that being said, I would recommend splitting up your business into subsidiaries or separate entities so that there is a degree of separation. You cannot sell e-commerce at your brick and mortar price. You cannot sell brick and mortar at your e-commerce price, and so on to the Amazon price. Like, you need separation, and it would be preferential to have different brand identities so that you're not being recognized here, there, and everywhere. And then, like if you are Bob's Parts Store, brick and mortar, and Bob's Parts Store on Amazon, you cannot explain to a customer why you cannot match your own Amazon price in your brick and mortar store. So instead of Bob's Parts Store, you need to be Jim's Parts Store on Amazon. Like, it's not, you don't have to get crazy about it, but you just can't be the same entity everywhere. Okay. So you can't be everything to everyone. Pick a lane, stay in it with that business or subsidiary or that entity. If you're selling the same way or the same price across all three channels, you're getting at least two of them wrong. Okay. It's exactly what I just said. You can't price yourself the same in all three. You can't serve everyone the same in all three. You can't. It's just business economy. It's simple. So, with that being said, because I like to keep these relatively short, takeaways from this are, as a business owner, how do you reframe the value of your service you are providing? If you are a brick and mortar or an e-commerce seller, if you are a marketplace seller, go do your thing. There's really, if you're a marketplace seller and you're looking to make more money, then there's things to be learned from this conversation, right? Because you can go from just being a marketplace seller to an e-commerce seller to a brick and mortar seller. This is not a linear one-way ticket. Like, you can go from one end to the other. You need to also know where to lean in to your customer and explain these things, and where to let the low price shopper go. There are some people that, despite what they say, their actions will tell you that they don't care about anything but price. This segment of customers seems to ebb and flow a little bit. In today's world, I would say this segment of customers is growing a little bit, but I'm not that old, and I've seen this kind of come and go a few times. So there are always going to be customers that, regardless of how much you tell them about your value, they don't care about anyone but themselves, and they just want the lowest price. And you are better off to turn them loose and just say, okay, I've explained to you the value that I provide. You don't seem to appreciate that. Have a nice day. Go buy your product from Amazon. You don't need to be petty. Even the way I just said it was probably more assertive than you would need or want to be. But the gist of it is, turn them loose politely, because otherwise you're going to be burdened with spending a lot of time with them, and every time they're going to come to you with a lower price from somewhere else. As a customer, if you are a consumer listening to this, I'm about to speak to you for a second. If you are a business owner, I'm also speaking to you because you are a customer of other businesses. As a consumer, you need to wrap your brain around value, not just price. And many or most people will not understand that until they're in the shoes of a retail worker, like until they have a retail job. But even then, you may not get it. When you're on the financial or economical side of things, if you are a business owner, if you are if you're on the financial side of it, you may understand it, because you'll understand the reason why pricing is different in each area of this. Okay. So there are a lot of people that are guilty of this. No one's perfect. I can't think of a time, but I have probably done this before. You will go somewhere seeking information, knowing damn well you're not going to buy it there, and you're going to go buy it somewhere else that's cheaper. Let's try and be cognizant of that, because what happens if we continuously seek the lowest price and show the world, not tell the world, but show the world with our wallet that we don't care about expertise and service, then eventually the places and businesses providing that expertise and service will no longer exist. If we keep telling the world all we care about is Amazon and their doorstep delivery and their blue vans, and we don't care about service, and we don't care about talking to someone on the phone or by email, and we just, if we get Jaspreet in India that tells us, sorry, but your product is no good, but whatever. If that's what you are telling the world with your wallet, then eventually that is going to be your only choice. And then when you don't know what you need, there's going to be no one left to help you. And that might sound a little bit dramatic, but that is the end game if we keep committing more and more and more to the Amazons and the Walmarts of the world. So I'll get off my soapbox about that. As far going back to if you are a business owner with takeaways, what we've been over what to educate your customers on before the price objection even comes up. So like cover the objection before it even gets brought up. Okay. So, you know, if you're pitching a customer on an item and you know that it's a higher value, higher tier item, get in front of the pricing objection and explain why. You don't want to lie about it. Maybe you do. Some people's sales tactics are a little more greasy. Fill your boots. That's your moral compass. But, you know, if I'm pitching, I don't know, I can't think of an item right now. What do I have in front of me? If I'm pitching windshield wipers, this is a ridiculous one. Do I have a better example? If I'm pitching floor mats, okay, and I know that the Husky Liners product is the best fit for that vehicle. They're rubber. They're not shitty plastic. They're the best product on the market. If I know that, and the customer comes to me and says, I want some Kung Flu Amazon brand, what, like, I don't know. There's some BS Chinese bullshit brands that make floor mats, right? If I know that the Husky is going to be priced 2 times what some other junk is, then rather than waiting for the customer to say, I can get a floor mat for my vehicle for $80 on Amazon, why is yours $200? Get in front of that. Just say, listen, this product is the best one that we offer. There is going to be no better fit. There is going to be no better material. You're going to have an easier time washing them. It's going to fit better. You'll be able to get it in and out of your vehicle because you can bend and fold it, whereas other ones are like a piece of cardboard. You can't get it out of your vehicle without spilling all of the dirt, mud, and debris everywhere. But it's going to cost you about 50% more than the other options you might see that are made in China and just absolute junk. Get in front of it. If they still don't see the value, okay, you know what? It sounds like you value price more than you value quality and also the expertise of our service. So best of luck with your purchase on Amazon. Next customer, please. Don't got to be a dick about it. Again, even the way I just said it was probably slightly aggressive, but the gist of it is know when to educate your customers, get in front of the objections. If the objection is still there, you're probably not going to hard close people that are hyper fixated on price. Just probably isn't going to happen. Okay. There is a case for segmenting your pricing strategy instead of trying to unify it. That is the last takeaway. If you're a multi-channel seller, multi-entity, multi-identity, split it up, different pricing. Your brick and mortar should not be the same branding as your e-commerce. Your e-commerce should not be the same branding as your Amazon. Your Amazon should not be the same branding as your brick and mortar. Okay. If you want to have your cake, eat it too, and stuff it in someone's face, that is the way. You cover all the channels. It's the most risk. I don't remember how this word works. Most risk averse or least risk. Anyways, you're less prone to risk if you're covered in all 3 markets, because whichever one takes off or whichever one is dominating, you're there. The other ones, you're also there, even if it falls off. If Amazon disappears tomorrow, you got a brick and mortar, you got an e-commerce. If Shopify shits the bed, you still have a brick and mortar, you still have an Amazon. If your brick and mortar store burns down, you still have 2 channels to sell online. So I'm a big advocate of risk protection and mitigation and existing in multiple channels. So with that being said, that is the episode for today. Until next time, have a good time with all of the different channels that we can sell on. Some of them are a pain in the ass, but we live in one of the most gifted times in human history for having multiple places to sell products. Have fun with it and have a great day.